192, Jesus Murphy.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 193 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Willkommen, mein Freund.
Don't you start with that just because you came back from Germany.
I've been in Europe, you know. I'm ever so cultured. Ooh.
Yeah, I came back from Florida. You don't hear me speaking swamp and stuff.
Very nice. Well, yeah, we're back, I guess. How long has it been this time?
3 weeks? 4 weeks?
4 weeks? Feels more than that. It's got to be more than that. It's not 6 months again, but it's more than that. It has to have been. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh, God. Are you looking? Awkward silence. Good. Why does he always leave me to fill time? I don't understand this. What will I talk about? Nothing, apparently.
Oh, my mic got disconnected. My bad.
Oh, there you go. Good. I was worried. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm running out of material. I got shit to say that I can't say with you here.
It was 5 weeks, but that's irrelevant.
5 weeks. Well, I mean, compared to our usual breaks, that's not bad.
No, and to be fair, we were not at home.
Hi, Faith.
Bless you. But yeah, we're back to talk about. Do we have any Doctor Who news?
I have no idea. I know. I mean, like, I don't mean to be a bitch, but like, ever since Big Finish like refuculated their 558. Sorry, I was looking at something else. Anyway, ever since Big Finish has like refuculated their exchange rate stuff, like I just haven't been checking the site at all. And also, like, their new revamp of the site kind of sucks. And you have to like click on a separate tab for. So like I'm on it right now, and the news used to be like right under the top banner on a side panel. And so right now I'm looking at it. I have the top banner. I have a scrolling thing of like sales and new releases. I scroll down. There's featured releases. There's latest releases. More. Oh, latest Vortex, which is their little magazine. An ad for their app. A podcast. And finally, at the very bottom of the page by all the social media stuff, finally some news.
Why don't you follow their Facebook page? I'm sure that's where all the news is.
Because I don't fucking care. Like, I really don't, frankly.
I don't know. I half read a headline that seemed unpleasant, like an unpleasant story, so I didn't read it. And that's my extent of... I don't remember. I didn't read the story, but basically the headline went, it was... I don't know if it was a Big Finish story or some other Doctor Who story, but they pulled a story from a gay writer because of its treatment of a transgendered character. And I just read that headline and I was like, this seems complicated and not like unpleasant, so I did not read it.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know shit about anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm scrolling down the news page, and like to be fair, like over my general bitching, there is a news button like on the top of the page. but the thing is like I shouldn't have to press a button, right? I don't know. Looks like they're resurrecting the Lost Stories series to do 2 new ones of those.
Fun.
So I guess they got the rights to some more stuff.
There was some good stuff in there.
There was, and I'm pretty sure generally, like, even when they canceled it or ended it, whatever you want to, however charitable you want to be, they, they hadn't done like everything, that had not been produced. Like there was still more stuff out there that was interesting. Yeah. It was just that either they didn't have the rights to it or like there wasn't a complete enough draft to make anything out of it. So another thing that's changed since then is that they have the new series license now. So, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of episodes that were considered to be made for the new series over the years that didn't. So there's probably, they have an additional source of of it. But looks like it's only these two that they're talking about, which is the Ultimate Evil for the 6th Doctor and Nightmare Country for the 5th. And nothing about like it being an ongoing thing, so it might just be
the name Nightmare Country. I don't know if that means it'll be good or not.
I don't know. It sounds like a Hank Williams' third album, honestly, but
I don't know. Maybe I should watch the most recent season. I miss having more Doctor Who in my life, and if the 6th Doctor keeps up the way it's going, this is not going to fill that hole, Kate.
Yeah, that's not. Look, that's not my fault.
I know
if you go ahead, you watch all of the Lady Doctor you want. Hopefully, you enjoy it. It's good. Shit, I think you didn't even finish Class, so you could do that too if you really wanted to.
I could go finish. There's only like 4 episodes left.
Yeah, well, there's only 8 to start with, so
yeah.
So I mean, you can do that. I mean, but the thing is like I know the pain of reboots. I've suffered through Star Trek, and I've suffered through the new Twilight Zone. It's been a ride. So anyway,
this isn't the bad part. Isn't even the reboot. The bad part's the old stuff.
Well, for Doctor Who,
right now,
I would say they have an equal share of the blame. Like I would say, like out of the 800 fucking episodes, a solid third is fucking crap, and that's true of like any time period.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. We're just getting an unusually high share.
Well, I mean, there's a reason that this was the time period where
right before it got canceled.
Right before it got canceled the first time, where it was considered a public embarrassment. So, there's that. Yeah, this season that we're about to finish up next week is actually the show went off the air for 18 months after this. The BBC was being rested, quote unquote rested, but really what they were doing is doing their best to fucking cancel it, and then they were finally persuaded to bring it back for a little while longer. But they were out to kill the show by this point, and honestly, I can't blame them.
Nor, I mean, obviously, with hindsight, it was probably for the best that it went away for a bit.
Yeah, well, and also in hindsight, I have to say, like, coming up to the later part of, Sylvester McCoy's run, like, it was a momentary bump in the road that lasted for a couple of years, but, things did improve, and unfortunately they decided to kill it for good when it was starting to improve, but that's neither here nor there.
And it is a little sad that we missed the whole 90s for Doctor Who, besides the single movie.
And, like a year of Big Finish-ish.
Yeah, but I'm more talking about I want to see what Doctor Who would have looked like visually in the 90s.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't dislike kind of the direction or like the aesthetic that the TV movie has, but just like the series Bible that they had come up with for that relaunch was
bad.
Blah, blah. But visually it looked very good. That's still my favorite like console room to this day, is the big Gothic chamber.
I don't like
Paul McGann has.
I don't like Paul McGann's hair and outfit though. Paul
McGann did not like his hair and outfit. There's a reason that when like Big Finish eventually gave him the haircut and a jacket, but yeah, it's not great. I mean, but I'll be honest, like I have a kind of an interest in the period where Big Finish was the only game in town. Like, for all intents and purposes, Big Finish was Doctor Who for about 6 or 7 years. And that's just really interesting to me, because it's clearly made for fans of the original, but there was no new series to line up with yet. So they were doing all kinds of weird shit, like the whole Zagreus thing. Like, I don't know if they'd have been allowed to do that now, because that was at the period the BBC didn't give a shit. And like even as fucking like hellaciously bad as it is, Necromantia, you would never, like, just on concept alone, you would never get a Necromantia made now.
No, well, for good.
Or like all the weird experimental things like Scherzo and Natural History of Fear and like
I know, and that's some of my favorite stuff.
And like flip flop, and it's all just like so much weird shit that they did, and it's really interesting. And Big Finish, unfortunately, since then, I think it's kind of become the nostalgia factory where they're kind of churning out product at this point, you know. But
Well, that's everything.
yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So you ready to talk about this week's story?
yeah, that's enough prevaricating, I suppose. But people
So,
actually clicked on the video for 20 minutes in. Here we go.
though I do have to say, bless you.
Oh, thanks. What's that got to do with Timelash?
We were talking about how I wish we could have seen what Doctor Who would have looked like in the 90s. This Doctor Who story looks like it's from the 70s. Like hardcore.
It's a little John Pertwee, isn't it?
But just the outfits and the sensibility, like it looks so much just like 70s sci-fi with all the stupid robes and like the way the computer console looks.
Probably.
Like,
I mean, if I was feeling charitable, I would say that with the appearance of a John Pertwee portrait near the climax of this episode, it was a deliberate callback, but I don't think this episode was that smart.
no, this episode is not smart at all. So
it's the stupidest fucking thing I've seen all week.
This, I would hope so. I don't know what else you'd watch that would be stupider than this.
Well, there was a Formula One penalty that I didn't agree with. That was pretty dumb, but we'll leave that aside for now.
So this is one of those Doctor Who stories where the Doctor shows up at a place he has been to before, but never on screen or anywhere. Like this is it's a non-existent past story.
I kind of don't like that.
I don't mind implying that there's some history there,
yeah.
But like you can't be this specific with it.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but sometimes you run into your tripping over your own feet, like the Face of Evil, like the big Tom Baker head, where it was like, when did you have time to do this?
Yeah,
but other times.
But the Face of Evil would have been great if it was a different face. Like that would have really solved all the problems.
Well, I mean, even without it, it's still a good story. But that's
what I'm saying. Like that was the issue there. Is it didn't make sense for it to be Tom Baker's face.
The reason that it's a concept I dislike is because the things that I like the most about Doctor Who, and John and I in our rewatch are heading towards the end of season 6. We're actually in the middle of the Space Pirates right now, so thoughts and prayers, please. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing. If we had both seen it, I'd be skipping it, but he has to suffer too. so this is how it's going to be. Because after that we get to go on to the war games, which is. But yeah. Anyway, so the black and white era, especially, but mostly, classic Who. I like when the Doctor is dropped into a situation where you don't have any idea what the fuck is going on. You don't know where you are. You have to kind of figure it out. And when it's like, oh, I've been here before, and a thing you've never seen. Like, not only does it rob you of the detective work, basically, it also doesn't actually build on continuity because it's not something you've seen. So you don't get that, oh yeah, out of it,
It's bad storytelling because it's just it's just an exposition dump.
Yeah, and it's not really a fan that I like. And I mean, I think that's one thing that they lean too heavily on in the new series, or at least the worst of the new series, is where you have the Doctor emerge from the TARDIS. He already knows everything. He already knows how to fix the problem, and it's big bang boom, we're out in 40 minutes. And it's like there's no sense of the thought process and trying to unravel what's happening, and I miss that. So I don't like it when we skip over that in favor of saying, oh, I've been here before and everything. This is da-da-da.
It seems like there was a much more interesting and complicated story going on the last time than what happened here.
Are you talking about two Doctors, or are you talking about like?
No, I'm talking about whatever
he was here before. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
But also, like, I don't mind referencing stuff that we haven't seen, but like, you can't.
Well, not when you build the whole plot around it.
Yeah, not when you build the plot around it. Because basically what happened is the Doctor's been here before, and there was the scientist who was doing these genetic experiments on these dinosaur puppets. And
yes.
Were they like worms? Did they have bodies? Because it was just a long.
I don't know. It looked. I mean, I thought they were maybe supposed to be some kind of like a brontosaurus. or like a a thing. Because at the end they joke that it's going to be the origin of Nessie, so maybe they're plesiosaurs. I don't know. I can't tell if they're worms. I mean, that and the fucking Bandrels, which is another beautiful puppet. And that is one thing that the story gets flack for, is the puppets. But frankly, like, I don't care. It's kitschy.
No, the puppets were fine.
They're okay. And besides, like, I don't
mind
mind the Jim Henson stuff. Like, so that's fine. That's
the
good. I like
puppets are
Farscape.
totally,
I'm good.
the puppets are totally fine. The problem with the puppets is everything in this episode was stupid. So when you have a dumb like I get it, but budgets exist. This whole story's filmed in like 3 rooms and then the crystal room, and that's like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's more than that, but I
Yeah.
swear to God, the planet they're on is like a hallway, the throne room, and then
The
like
cave.
one other, and then the cave. Yeah.
The cave. And and I think
And
you got
then
the
you
TARDIS
get-
set, and then like H.G. Wells's house.
You get H.G. Wells's house, which was such a dumb reveal. Like that was like peak, like winky naughty, like, hey, look who it is. Like, fuck you.
It reminds me of on The Simpsons when they have a celebrity guest that has no purpose, and they just have like 2 lines, and everyone goes, "It's da 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 da, full name and job title." Oh my god! The peak one of that for me was like, it was like, it must have been like a season fucking 19 or 20 Simpsons episode, so we were like way into the weeds, where the whole thing was about crosswords, and the celebrity guest turns up and says his line, and everyone goes, "New York Times crossword puzzle editor, full name." And I'm like, well, I'm glad you told me, because nobody would know who the fuck that is.
Oh, see, I thought the peak of that's the softball episode where it's just all these sports cameos with dumb jokes. Like,
I mean, well,
right.
the actual pits for me of the Simpsons celebrities is the one where Homer finds Ron Howard's house.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
It's not good, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Besides, yeah,
the point is, it was just like really bizarre to just shoehorn that character in there, especially because like it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the plot. Like, they kind of had this little running thing where like the dinosaur monsters are called like Morlocks or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna write that down in my notebook. Oh, a machine that travels in time." But for the most part, it didn't matter that it was him. Could have been anybody.
What is the Timelash? I think I like my eyes glazed over at a certain point, and I'm not entirely sure what it did, because they were using it like the way they were describing it at the beginning. It was like, oh, you go through the Timelash and like it time ravages you, basically. Like, it's like a time weapon. But then like the doctor like fucking
repels into it.
Ties a bed sheet around his waist and repels down this weird crystal, like the only decent set in the whole thing, and it was still kind of dumb looking.
Decent? It was fucking. It had tinfoil puffles on it. It was Christmas tinsel. Absolutely not.
They were trying to do something.
From what I understood from the story, which is to say not a lot, which I'm sure anybody who's listened to these going back the last 7 years will know that I don't know what I'm talking about. But from what I understood, it was like this unstable like time corridor wormhole thing that they would throw people into, and they'd be either spit out in the past or just spin off into the vortex and die or whatever.
Okay.
So according to the doctor, the other end is on 12th century Earth. So why, for some reason, that ends up in H.G. Wells's house in the 1800s, I don't know, but that's apparently what it does. And it's confusing because not only do they have the weird crystal like cavern inside it, somehow they treat it like on the planet, they treat it like it's a fucking execution machine.
Yeah, so good.
It's not the only one. They don't act like it's an exile thing. They act like off with his head into the Timelash.
Okay, good. I wasn't the only one who was confused. I mean, this is a bad story. So
I don't think it's confusion so much as just like stupid.
It's bad writing.
Yeah, we'll blame it on bad writing whenever we don't understand something. That's how YouTube goes, right?
Well, I mean, this is also very poorly written. So
no, I know.
It's apt.
I know, but if anybody who watches my gay Let's Play videos, you know that I throw a lot of shade at other YouTubers because I don't actually like YouTube very much. But
well, it's because YouTube's a cesspit.
It is a cesspit, and I jumped right in.
So, But the Doctor shows up this time, and this planet's being. I don't even remember what its name is. I don't remember a lot.
I believe
I
its
watched
name
this
is Who Gives a Fuck 3 or something like that.
I watched this morning, and I
Yeah, I
remember.
watched it yesterday, and I don't fucking know. And I've seen it before this too, so it didn't sink in this time either. But I'm pretty sure that was only my second time seeing it.
So this planet is ruled basically by a dictator, who also is a weird dinosaur-nosed man who's hiding behind a fake computer generation of this other guy who looked
Yeah,
nothing like him. So I don't know where that guy came from.
well, they claimed that actually they didn't even say it was a hologram. They claimed it was an android fake, but we never saw the android in person. It was only on the screen. So I think it was probably supposed to be a computer image and not really an android.
But why wasn't it just the way the guy looked before he got a dinosaur face? Why did it look
I
nothing
have
like
no idea. Maybe he was trying to interpolate what he would look like now if he didn't turn into a fucking monster faced dinosaur man. I couldn't fucking tell you. But yeah, basically he controls the planet and there's a resistance on the planet and some of the fucking
because
robed
he's an
council of
idiot
ass.
dictator. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes some of the robed council of assholes are like trying to undermine him, but they don't know anything about anything because they're fucking stupid. And one of the like the council families all get thrown in Timelash, and like the lady ends up in H.G. Wells's fucking dining room for some reason, and then the
And
TARDIS
then
shows
so does
up.
the doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, so does the Doctor, and they all go in the TARDIS, and Perry gets captured, I guess, for some reason.
Also, there's these weird earthworm-looking aliens that are like going to
They're
go.
the Morlock, because it's H.G. Wells. That's where he got his idea. He wasn't a creative author. He saw something in fucking space.
So the
Don't you
Morlocks
get it? Isn't it clever?
are going to throw bombs at the planet because of the dictator declared war with them because he's an idiot.
Oh, you're talking about the Bandrels. I thought you were talking about the worm monsters. Okay, never mind. I take everything I said back, although it still
No,
applies.
I'm talking the Bandrils
The fucking Bandrels.
look
Yeah,
like earthworms if
no,
they had
they
faces.
look like the fucking old worm guy from SpongeBob.
Yeah, see, they look like worm people.
So yeah, they basically they had a
Which
trade
again,
agreement
I
with
was totally fine with these puppets. It's just the things they were saying and doing were too stupid.
I think they might have been supposed to be cobras because they had kind of like a ruffle around the back of their heads. Anyway, they I guess they had like they're supposed to be pacifists, but they had like a trade agreement with the planet of assholes, and now the dictator, and because he's assassinated like everybody and put some like toady in charge, he's like, no, we won't honor the treaty, blah. And they're like, well, we need that, and he's still like, no, and they're like, well, I guess we'll have to fucking bomb you then.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's basically like it's so bad. I don't even know. I can't
it's
explain this
really
better. Can you
so
explain this plot like in a linear fashion that makes any sense?
okay. Yes, but before I do that, I just want to say this is not the first time the Doctor has shown up to a planet ruled by a madman who also wants to take his companion and turn her into a monster bride for no reason.
Yeah, you know, if I didn't know that John Nathan Turner wasn't gay or was gay, sorry, I would say, you know, like this is for you, isn't it? Like this is a thing for you. And sometimes, you know, when you watch things, you can tell that it's not so much for the sake of the story and more for the sake of the producers, you know, fetish. Like the
But
Quentin Tarantino with his feet shots, or like
it's
all
just
of the lovely
such
yeomen on Star Trek.
bad
That's routine.
writing because they introduce us to these villains who are supposed to be these diabolical geniuses, and then they ruin their entire plan because they want to take the companion and turn them into a monster and marry them because that would ever work.
Well, I thought that was the plan because he wanted to like have the planet bombed on purpose so that everyone would die except him. So I think he wanted to like repopulate with those monster brides. So I have a feeling that that was like part of the plan the whole time, but I don't know who he was gonna marry, you know,
Before the
before
doctor,
Perry showed up, right? Like
like the
maybe
doctor.
he maybe he was gonna take that like chick from the planet to be his lawfully monstered bride, but he threw her in the time lash, so that wouldn't work either. And she's like the only woman on the planet, I think.
There were two women.
There were?
Yeah, there were the three surviving main planetary characters was that guy with the hair, whose name I can't remember. And then those two women, the one that went through the time lash that the doctor rescued with all that weird makeup, and then the other one, the soldier lady. I like that you saw this today too and don't remember any.
No, it was yesterday. I saw
Yeah,
this.
whatever.
I was really like I was mad that I had to watch it because I wanted to play video games all day.
Oh, I know. I me too.
I played Resident Evil Dead Aim and it wasn't very good.
Ew. I finished Watch Dogs 2 and started The Witcher 3.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Back to our regularly scheduled bitching.
Yes. So, okay, plot line. So, the dinosaur-faced man, who we don't know is a dinosaur-faced man yet, because all we see is the video.
Well, they keep it hidden, like it's a reveal, but unfortunately, we it's on the fucking DVD cover.
Called?
So
Can you remember what his name is?
No,
it's like I know it begins
not
with
at all. And I mean, I'm sure someone out there is screaming, "Look it up and don't be incompetent." But honestly,
No.
the fact that we can't remember really just speaks poorly of the way this is made.
They said this name constantly.
Yeah,
it was one of those names that it's the and then this B word, like, and they kept referring. It's like, oh my god, and it's like it was this episode's that bad that it did not stick.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not their fault. That's not our fault. It's their fault, and it's their fault that we don't remember because it's not interesting.
So the doctor,
because we all remember Packer.
God damn it!
He's the best henchman.
Packer is the best henchman. Anyway, so this dinosaur faced man is manipulating this planet and trying to cause this trade war and everything. But then the doctor shows up as this guy is like systematically killing off all the council, both the people loyal to him and everyone against him.
Yeah, there's a resistance group like hiding in the caves, but they don't actually matter really.
No, they don't. And there's these dinosaur things,
which also don't really matter, other than the fact that
they menace some people.
That they menace people, and if exposed to the right gas, that somehow Perry will become also a dinosaur person.
Yes. Well, then she'll have a weird dinosaur face on her face.
Yeah, yeah. They kept hiding him and like trying to make it a reveal like the Crispy Master, but I don't know.
Well, and then when you see what he looks like, it's really stupid.
Well, not only that, but again, like in the years since this came out, which I mean, obviously it was broadcast, nobody knew what it looked like, but in the years since this came out, because there's really not a lot about Timelash to promote, like DVD releases and like any like images from this story, like it's always that guy. Like everybody's seen it. So
but it looks so it doesn't even like it just looks stupid.
I guess so. He has a gun that turns people into fucking skeletons.
He does have
on his chair. He just pushes a button and it turns into fucking skeletons.
I always appreciate a good skeleton gun.
Yeah, because they like cut to the person writhing, cut to the guy laughing, and cut back, and it's just like a model skeleton that goes. It's great. That's the best part about this.
So, the Doctor and Perry show up, and they immediately find like the Resistance people and start talking to them. And then the Captain Douchebag guy shows up.
Captain Douchebag?
The henchman, the one that ends up turning on him towards the end.
Oh, the one who's the pussy whipped guy.
Yeah, the one who turns on him when he finds out the plan involves him dying.
Right. I mean, that guy clearly has not watched a lot of television, because if he had known that, of course the plan involves you being expendable.
Yeah. So he wants the Doctor brought to the guy. who we find out is this guy that the doctor sentenced or like revealed the last time he was here as a scientist doing experiments that went beyond moral boundaries and should be stopped. And then there was an accident later in the lab that turned him into the dinosaur-faced man.
Yeah, and then everybody gets thrown into the Timelash.
Yes.
And then they meet H.G. Wells because the lady appears in his house and he's like, holy fuck, are you a ghost?
Yeah.
And she's like, sure. So then he sneaks aboard the TARDIS back to the planet because he's an irritating shit. And
he serves no purpose.
Serves no purpose. Also, I forget when this happens, but like the Doctor goes in Timelash because he gets like pushed in. I think that's like the climax or like the cliffhanger. He almost gets pushed in between the two parts.
Yeah.
And then like the when they go in there on purpose to try and like rescue somebody out of it, I think like they go rappelling down the tinsel wall of crystals. Yeah. And he like breaks off a piece and then he makes this contraption where like he makes an after image of himself. Like he's basically he turns the thing and it sends him 10 seconds into the future and he does stuff and then it makes an after image that then does stuff once you catch up to those 10 seconds, but because it's an after image, it's insubstantial, so then you can't hurt him.
And he uses that to dodge the death beam.
The skeleton gun.
The skeleton gun.
So he doesn't get hit by the skeleton gun that the bad guy has and kills him with it because it reflects off the crystal and turns him into a skeleton. And because he's the bad guy, his skeleton has green goop on it. They probably had some left over from the twin dilemma or something.
No. Remember there was that super gross green goop all over the oh god, why am I forgetting? What are the soldier aliens?
The Bandrels?
No, the Sontarans in the Two Doctors.
Yes. No, you're right. Sorry. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, don't they have blue guys though? Who were the blue guys in this?
I totally forgot about the android.
They were like android guards. They don't matter, but I totally forgot that blue guys were in the show.
I thought there was just one.
Well, it might have been just one. Maybe he was the only android.
Because they blew him up.
Maybe that's who they meant when he said he talks through an android, and they didn't mean the old man face.
Oh,
that could be. But then whatever. I think he gets set on fucking fire, doesn't he?
Yeah, that makes the old man face make even less sense.
I guess so, but yeah, like the blue guy gets set on fucking fire.
Yeah.
And then they have a big fight with the rebels and like the stormtroopers.
That was super confusing too, because I thought it was an alien, and then when they're like, "Oh, it's an android," I'm like, "Why is it blue?"
I thought he was an alien too, because they spent this whole time talking about the treaty with the Bandrels, and I'm like, "Oh, that blue guy must be the one." Like, you know?
Like, no, he's just a robot.
No, he's a robot.
Why is he blue with orange hair? Like, why would you make a reverse Oompa Loompa robot? Like,
I don't know. And then like, okay, so again, like maybe I was just like way too drunk or fucked out of my mind on boredom or something, but like I don't understand like how this thing. So yeah, so the blue guys don't matter, the rebels don't matter, but they shoot anyway. And the fucking the bad fish-faced dinosaur man becomes a skeleton. But then he shows up at the very end, and the twist is that he's not actually. He made a clone when the story did not mention clones at all for the entire plot. Nobody mentioned anything about clones.
He planned for the eventuality that someone might use his death skeleton ray against him,
and made a fucking clone.
So it
wasn't the real him.
No. When he died, his like the atoms in his skeleton reform. Like he has like clone powers. And he cloned.
No, he said he made a clone, and it was a copy. I thought
something like that. I remember
something, but anyway, either way, there's nothing at all in this story about cloning. Zero. And all of a sudden, he's like, "I'm alive." And everyone's like, "How are you alive?" And it was like, "It was a copy. It wasn't the real me. I made a clone." It's like, okay, fine, fuck it. And then you throw him into the Timelash anyway. Like, so anyway, yeah, the Bandrels have launched a missile, and then they don't fucking believe it. that
They don't
that
believe that this happened.
they don't believe that this happened, and frankly, I wouldn't fucking believe it either. So I can't say I blame them. And they were like, "We need proof," and they're like, "We don't have any proof." So they're like,
When
"Well, we
then the
can't stop
doctor's
the missile."
like, I'm a Time Lord with the High Council of Gallifrey, and if you kill me, it'll be, you know, a really big deal.
And again, they're like, "Sorry, but."
And he's like, fine, we'll prove it. And then he goes to take the TARDIS to basically use it to blow up the missile. Which, oh my God, Kate, can we please talk about the missile explosion effects?
What, the missile command?
No, it looked worse than Missile Command.
How can it work worse?
Because when the missile exploded, a pink, flat shaded circle exploded.
There's some beautiful imagery in this story, I tell
I don't know
you.
why it was pink.
Yeah, I mean, I think meanwhile, like this is like I think that's about all the plot points, but not in the right order. But yeah, that like so going up to stop the missile, like I don't even know what he did to blow it up,
Nothing.
and because the
They didn't
entire
explain it.
the entire time, like he's like, Perry, you got to stay on the planet. He won't explain to her why, and he screams at her because he's an asshole. Because that's how sick he is on TV. He's a fucking asshole. Screams at Perry, doesn't tell her what's going on. Takes off to fucking do this. H.G. Wells is there for no reason, and he's scared of dying. And they're like, "Well, we're gonna fucking die a heroic death." And I think what they were gonna do is like they were gonna use the TARDIS as a shield, and it would hit the TARDIS and blow up, and they would all die and everything. But then like it blew up, and then they kind of reappear, and they're like, "Hey, Perry, what's up?"
Yeah, and they don't.
And at first, I thought that maybe they used the time necklace thing, but if they'd done that, like the illusion isn't solid, so like it wouldn't blow up the missile.
I don't know. They did.
So I don't. Did they actually
did,
not explain it, or was I so bored that I missed it?
They said a time thing. Like it didn't. It doesn't matter because like they killed the vampire. They didn't use anything that would make sense. They just scienced it away.
I guess. So anyway, so then they put H.G. Wells. They actually don't know. They don't even bring him home. I guess they imply that they'll send him home later, but they're like, "Oh, look who that is!" He, and then run off. And I guess, that's the end. I guess. Man, I don't know. This is horrendous.
It was.
What is your summation of Timelash, Dave?
Tell us. Fucking terrible. It was so. This is when people think like classic Doctor Who, and if you were to say like, oh, classic Doctor Who, you know, it's like all that bad effects and puppets and it's stupid. Like this is what I would picture in my head. Is something like this.
Yeah. Sometimes those small brain new series fans got one on us.
This is everything that's bad about Doctor Who, about classic Doctor Who in one episode.
Yeah, kind of
bad. It's all over the place. None of the motivations make any sense. The Doctor's being like an asshole, out of character, using like knows if he uses this crystal, it's going to reflect this death beam and just murder this guy. Like he basically just shot him himself.
Yeah, I want to say that this is probably the most asshole-ish he's been since Twin Dilemma, and that's pretty hard to top because, man, what a terrible debut that was, Twin Dilemma.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, yeah, Twin Dilemma set a bad precedent, and then Attack of the Cybermen and Vengeance on Varos were violent, but they were both pretty good for the Doctor. Two Doctors was stupid but fun. Mark of the Rani was like, I don't understand this, but whatever. But this, this is bad.
Oh, the sets are bad. The costumes are bad. The effects are bad.
Well, let me riddle me this. Since season 22, this is season 22. We got 4 to go. Holy shit! This is the one where they went to hour-long episodes for a season. They go back to half hours after this. But do you think that going hour-long versus, even though the overall runtime is the same, do you think that having hour segments instead of half-hour segments has kind of like thrown off the pacing?
I don't know.
Because I mean, this is bad to begin with, but I've noticed like even in other stories that I liked, like Two Doctors, which is good,
Yeah, I think
I found like this, like it felt kind of like the episodes kind of drag at an hour.
the writers aren't used to writing like this,
Yeah, I don't think so.
and I mean, I don't think that that's a huge problem with this story in particular. I think even if you broke this up into 4 episodes, it would still be all over the place and make no sense.
Oh, for sure. But I'm what I'm saying is I think at least for this show at this time, having the 30-minute structure I think gives you, at least when you're watching it all in one shot, like it gives you more of a, it gives the writer an incentive to have like regular progress and excitement, you know, a little more often, because you know these episodes, like these hour-long episodes, they're not written like 2 half hours smushed together. They're written like 1 half hour stretched,
Yeah,
and it's gotten really slow. So yeah, Timelash for
real
me,
bad.
it's one of the worst. It's like Space Pirates fucking Web Planet level, but not even Web Planet, because Web Planet's hilarious. Um,
Web.
Web Planet tried
Yeah, I
so
mean,
hard.
I believe if you find our episode, we didn't. I mean, we hated it, but like there were some like things that we liked about it.
Yeah,
It's just
but
really
this,
bad.
like, I can't think of a single thing that's not wrong with this, because like the acting is terrible. This the doctor is horrendous. He's shouting and being a dick, and not even in a convincing way. He's just like
Oh,
so
oh,
overblown.
hold on.
Perry is nowhere. The guest cast is horrendous. Like they don't fucking help at all. They're so flat.
Kate,
And
we skipped
it's,
something important.
oh god, what?
We didn't mention this. We mentioned that it existed, but we didn't mention the scene where the wall explodes, and then all of a sudden there's this like what looks like somebody painted on like the ad on a comic book shop a portrait
Oh yeah.
of John
In the
Pertwee.
last firefight, because the
Yes,
knowledge of the doctor has been suppressed under
yes.
the new regime. So like, yeah, they I guess they put like drywall up over this John Pertwee portrait, and it's the ugliest painting I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Doesn't it look like or like one of those like chalkboard drawings you'd see in like a coffee shop or something? Like it looks like
It looks like the cover to a paperback novelization where the person hadn't actually seen Doctor Who.
like yeah, no, it totally does. It looks
That's
very
exactly what it looks like.
it looks so bad. And like
Yeah.
the effect of the wall blowing open didn't make any sense plot wise.
Well, I guess it was supposed to have been caught in the crossfire, but I don't know. It's
Yeah, but
whatever.
it like exploded outward. It was very
Uh,
weird.
they have space guns that can do anything.
It was very
I
weird.
guess it was very weird. But anyway, yeah, acting was bad. The writing, as we've discussed thoroughly, is really bad. The production value is very cheap, even by like classic Who standards. This is like visibly cheap. There's been plenty
Yeah.
of times where it's been cheap, but they've dressed it up some, put some lipstick on that pig, and made a go of it. But this is just
And if
awful,
I haven't made that clear, a lot of
awful.
times when I say 70s sci-fi, I mean very cheap. That's why everyone wears robes because you just buy one piece of fabric and wrap it around.
I know. You say 70s sci-fi, people are like, "Oh, you mean like Star Wars?"
I mean,
No.
kind of a little. Like there's a lot of robes in Star Wars, but
Yeah,
no,
I
I
know, but
mean
that's
more like
because they're
robes
monks, though.
fun.
That's different. Yeah, everybody wears robes, and it's like, I don't know if it's because they couldn't afford paint, or that's just like the style of the time, but like all of the halls, all of the walls, like are just like pure white, unadorned, boring, flat white. And now Perry does remark on this that like mirrors are banned, I guess, so no one would reflect the skeleton gun, because that's the only time it mattered, I think. Um, but like Perry notes that like, oh, the architecture is really dull and there's not a lot of color and there's not whatever. So I mean, I guess it's part of the story, but my god, is it bland to look at. And the thing is like, you know, the TARDIS interior is a flat white too, which is usually fine because it's, you know, a contrast to everything else that's going on outside, but it's too much. And like, the problem is you don't go anywhere else. Like you spend all of like 10 seconds in the fucking cave set. You spend a couple minutes at Wells's house, and you know, like it's just, it's so I don't know. It makes all the sets run together, and it's very bland to look at for 2 hours with no variation.
It's why I say there's 3 rooms. There were more than 3 rooms.
There were more than 3 rooms. They just look
They
the
all
same.
look exactly the same.
And it's not even in like a visually distinct, like slick kind of way. It doesn't look like an Apple store. It just looks like somebody didn't bother to finish the decorating.
It looks. I mean,
it looks as cheap as it probably is.
It looks like a Mystery Science movie. Like,
probably. I mean, I'm sure that it does. But those are in black and white. And as we've discussed before, black and white and some mood lighting can disguise a lot of problems.
Not all of those are in black.
I know they're not, but the best ones are.
Not all the best ones, just a lot of them.
All of the best ones. The best ones are the short films, especially the educational ones.
Well, okay, yes, the industrial shorts are the best.
Yes,
clearly.
Thank you. Thank you. So anyway, I don't know what else to say about this fucking mess.
There's nothing left to say. It's really bad. Like, I wouldn't... This is one of those, like, just skip it. Like, it's not worth it.
No, it doesn't matter.
There's nothing here that's going to, like, give you any sense of joy. And you're talking to the guy who loves the stop, like, I love puppets and stuff. Like, even the puppets are bad. Like,
yeah, no. they're not very well articulated, and they're cheap. But like I said, like, I can roll with Farscape. I love that show. So, like, puppets and sci-fi, like, all the Frank Oz stuff that was done with the Star Wars trilogy and Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Like, you can do speculative fiction with puppets, and Willow, you can have that stuff look really good. This was not that. Nope. This was horrible. And yeah, I mean, even that, you and I both like the fucking stop motion Nessie for whatever fucking episode that was.
Yeah,
it was fine, but this is nah. There's nothing here to recommend. Would you say
I would have been totally fine with these puppets if they did anything instead of just like
just go back.
They're just shook at people. They don't even like articulate.
Well, I mean, the mouth on the Bandrel moves a bit, and I think there's some like eye motion on the thing. So I mean, I somebody probably tried. They might have had a stick and some ping pong balls or something.
You know what I mean, though.
No, I know. I'm trying to be nice. Like, all I'm saying is, like, it's not Necromantia.
No, but
because that was actively like bad and mean spirited. This is just stupid.
Yeah. But this is down there.
Yeah, it really is, and you can understand why, in terms of the public image, why Colin Baker has such a difficult time with people who don't fuck with Big Finish, right? Because can you imagine, like, you come off the Caves of Androzani, and everything comes to a screeching halt with Twin Dilemma, and then it's only 1, 2, 3, 4-ish stories later, and you get Timelash. Like, the Sixth Doctor has a grand total of like 10 stories to his name, and 2 of them are this bad, and others are not really any better than average. So it's
I just want to be like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry they did you dirty like this.
Well, I mean, that's basically what Big Finish has been doing for the last 20 years. So I mean, he's got his way now. But I mean, he does have a couple of good ones to his name, sure. But I mean, the amount of shit that was compacted into such a short time of the period of 2 years for Colin is just incredible. How bad some of this is. Yeah. And it's no wonder people don't like him.
Yep. Anyway, so yeah, don't watch this. Just skip it. If you're gonna watch the bad one, watch the Twin Dilemma, because that's at least more like.
Well, I mean, that has continuity because of the like introducing Sixie.
Exactly.
Like, it's its first outing, so
that's why if you're gonna suffer through one, suffer through the one that's has important continuity.
Yeah. This
sorry.
one you could very safely skip.
I'm so sorry. You're gonna have to watch this again, Kate.
Yes, although in this one's favor, it is only 2 hours and not 3, like so many of the other terrible ones seem to be.
That's true.
How many times in like the William Hartnell and Troughton days, or even into John Pertwee, where we didn't like a story and we're like, oh god, there's more. Like, how long is that? It's like, this is like 7 parts for some reason. Did you just like this so much?
So boring.
It's all so boring. So thank goodness they went to the 2-hour format, whether that was 2 or 4 episodes. Because, man, can you imagine if Timelash had been made in the 60s? Jesus Christ.
I'm weirdly excited for the next story. I don't know why.
Is it because of the D word in the title?
Well, it's not just because that there's Daleks in the title. It's because that there's Daleks and the we've talked about this before. I'm watching a lot of these through the BritBox streaming service, and the preview screen has a guy that looks like Fat Elvis, and I'm like, I want to see Fat Elvis with Daleks. I don't know if he's.
You will obey the king.
I don't know. I assume he's British too. So.
Well, maybe he's like in air quotes American. I mean, remember the fucking gunfighters?
But like,
oh man, and I had almost completely forgotten with the space pirates. Fucking Milo Clancy, the fucking prospector.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With this fucking rootin' tootin' accent, it's great.
The stupid space prospector.
Well, the government ain't come here for no 10 years. I'm just trying to eat my breakfast.
So yeah, so I'm like 9% convinced this next episode's about fat British Elvis fighting
9%. That's confident.
I'm pretty
confident. I'll take that odds.
It has nothing to do with that, and when I actually watch the episode, the guy won't actually look like Fat Elvis. He just kind of does in that screenshot.
No, so he's not even like actually a character, and he's in it for like 5 minutes. What was the preview image for this one?
It's I'm pretty sure it's the dinosaur nose guy.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's like it was a reveal when it aired, but now everybody's seen it.
It's a stupid reveal.
I know it's a stupid reveal, but I'm saying like it undercuts even the curiosity that one might have.
Okay, Timelash Part 2 is when he shows up with Perry when he's like got the weird hand.
Yeah, this weird flipper hand. That's right.
Yeah. Well, it's not a weird flipper hand. It's just like extra long for some reason. Oh, Timelash Part 1's the android.
Okay.
Which is extra weird because I was like, okay, that's the alien guy. And then I assumed the next picture was something bad happens to the alien guy. And I'm like, oh no, that's a weird like non-character who speaks with the same. Oh, we didn't talk about the android has the sing-songy voice again.
He does?
Yeah, like the old Cyber where he like goes up high weirdly.
I don't remember that.
He talks weird. No, this dude totally looks like Fat Elvis. He's got the leather jacket and everything.
Oh, I don't remember the sing song. I remember he had just like some kind of like electronic effect, but that was all I remember. But I mean, I don't even remember what order the plot happened in, apparently. So
yeah. So anyway, we don't need to talk about this anymore.
No. Ah, what was that?
I sent you the screen cap.
Oh. Ah, holy shit. It's not Fat Elvis.
Like Fat Elvis.
That's John Travolta. Come on.
Fat John Travolta. No,
Yes, it's fat. It's fat like modern day John Travolta that can't give it up.
The way the headset is, it almost looks like sideburns.
That's true, but I mean, this is the 80s. We're kind of over sideburns now.
I know. That's why I said he's probably not going to look like that. But that image, I'm like, okay, give me this Dalek story. What's this dude in his leather jacket doing?
Well, you'll have to watch and find out. And you, faithful listener, will have to listen and find out.
As we watch Revelation of the Daleks.
Next time, unfortunately. Yeah. Whenever that may be.
Next week.
If you say so.
All right. Bye, everyone.